Everybody? Shh. And we're off. Okay, so what are we going to do today? We are first going to give you some announcements. Whoops, where are the announcements? There they are. Okay, you know the problem set 1 is due. Waldo is going to come up at 3:50, and he's just going to grab them and run away, and anybody else is going to be late. Please make sure that your name is on your problem set. Also good if your GSI's name is on it, but they should be separated into piles. The solutions to the problem set are online. They should be visible to you as of 4 minutes from now. If you have any problem getting them off eSpace, please let me know. And the second problem set has been posted already. It's due in 2 weeks from today rather than 1 week. The rest of the problem sets will be due 2 weeks after they're posted. The thing I want to say to you is this. There's 4 problems on this problem set. So problems 1 and 2 you should be able to do based on this week's lectures. Problems 3 and 4 you will be able to do based on next week's lectures. So if in general, if you start working on a problem and you can't make any headway, just stop and wait for a lecture or two, and hopefully things will become clarified. Okay. So I get the sense that some of you are desperately trying to get my attention. Did you have something you wanted to say to me? No. That's too bad. I really wanted to hear what you had to say. Okay. All right, so let's start working. So today what we're going to do, right, we're going through this process. I showed you some stuff about the standard model of consumer choice. I showed you an anomaly that can't be explained by that standard model, the so-called endowment effect. Then I showed you a whole bunch of psychological evidence to suggest that, in general, we compare things to reference points and make value judgments relative to reference points in all areas of human perception and human choice. And then I showed you a very simple way of capturing that insight, and also the insight that people care more about losses than gains, into this sort of standard model. And so we've gotten that far. We have a new behavioral model. What we're going to do next is we're going to look at implications. Okay? Now, implications of a model come in 2 flavors, positive and normative, not surprisingly. We've been talking primarily about the positive dimension of this model, right? It does a better job of predicting the difference between people's willingness to pay and their willingness to accept, et cetera, et cetera. What I want to focus on now is the normative dimension. Okay, I've shown you that there are 2 demand curves for the same person with 2 different endowments, and I've showed you how that kind of like really undermines our ability to say anything defensible about the dollar value of these goods to people. I want to dig deeper into that, okay? Because what I want to show you, the sort of big aha in this class, is that when you see a model go from fairly good in positive terms and very tight in normative terms to much better in positive terms but suddenly a catastrophe in normative terms, you can be relatively sure that what's happened is that some rationality assumption has been violated. So what I'm going to do today, I hope, is to show you the very tight link between the assumption of rationality and the sort of normative dimensions of our economic models. So let's do it. Get out your iClickers. Now my clicker window seems to have gone away, so while you're digging out your clickers, let me... Okay. All right, so I seem to have forgotten that I have to have... This is really weird, right? I guess this is one of the prices you pay for having a PC instead of a Mac, is that if you start the iClicker software before you plug in the projector, it shuts it down, and then it's the absolute devil to get it back on. So, does anybody see anything on this list that looks like iClicker? Here, yes, it's iClicker. That's good. Thank you very much. That was helpful. There it is. It's done. That's the thing I like. This is like the ultimate control panel. You die. Okay, and come on now. Okay, and we're back. All right, so here we are. What does it mean? The question is, for $64,000, what does it mean to say that a person is rational? To an economist, what does it mean to us as economists to say that a person is rational? Does it mean that their preferences make sense and seem reasonable? Or that their preferences are complete and transitive, whatever that means? Or that they can rank their choices according to how much they want them? Or, this is the weirdest one, if they prefer A to B and B to C, they must also prefer A to C. Okay? So just take a moment. I'll start this thing up, and you can take a little while to figure out what you think. Okay, so I'll give you another 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and there's 181 of you. Good, with clickers. All right, let's see what you said. Aha. So we have a whole lot of B's and a whole lot of D's and a smattering of A's and C's. Who would like to defend the D answer, the slightly less popular of the 2 modal answers? D, anybody? You looked as if you were heading somewhat towards it. No? No? There. Okay. Did she pay you to raise your hand? So your name is Adish. So what Adish said is that D is basically what it means to be transitive. Okay. Anybody else who said D, you want to follow up on that? Or whose neighbor said D? Yeah.
Does it follow the problem of the endowment effect, where you have, that's like how I was thinking of it, what we're talking about.
Okay.
You have, one world where you prefer one set of different curves, something below it.
Right.
You actually start at that point below it, you'll end up on a different curve above it.
Right, so presumably this is what you saw in the problem set, right? Is you have the situation where under some circumstances you prefer one thing to another, and then other circumstances blah, blah, blah. So which answer did you give?
I did D.
You did D. Any other of these, any other answer you would have considered giving?
Also C, and then also the transitive part of B. And then thinking back, the completeness is also...
So now I'm starting to question your preferences, right? Because you're having a hard time ranking your answers. And then we'll come back around in a minute and you'll be vindicated. What was your name? Woody. All right, thank you, Woody. So if you said D, you're correct. It is correct to say that if a person is rational, it must be the case that if they prefer A to B and B to C, they also prefer A to C. And let's take that piece of information and try something else. Suppose we observe a person over time so you guys are all familiar with the term ceteris paribus? Okay, so ceteris paribus means what? all else equal. So ceteris as in etc., right, means everything else, other things, and paribus as in parity, equality, so paribus. Never try to spell one word while you're saying another. Ceteris paribus. So take this person, we observe this person, and absolutely everything about them and their circumstances is the same, except that we observe them sometimes with the choice set apple pear, sometimes with the choice set pear banana, and sometimes with the choice set banana apple. And what we see is this. From apple pear, they always choose apple. How would you represent that sort of in mathematical notation? A is sort of squiggly greater than P. We'll just use, right, so that thing there, the squiggly greater than, strictly preferred, right? Okay, we're going to go with strict preference because we don't care about knife edge cases. From pear banana, they always choose pear, so we can say pear is strictly preferred to banana, and they choose banana always when apple is the only other choice, so we get that. Suppose we see that. If we then offered this person an apple, a pear, and a banana, and none of them had a worm in it, what choice would we predict that they would make? This is a positive question. What choice would we predict? Oh, two more, three more, one more. There we are. Oh, those were people who were hanging their problem sets. Okay, fine. Let's see what you guys had to say. Wow, not a lot of fruit merchants among you. Okay, so overwhelmingly you all said E. So would somebody who hasn't raised their hand yet today who said E kind of try to explain to me what on earth is going on here? Right. And you start to feel a little bit crazy, right? Smoke starts coming out of your ears, and you start to say to yourself, am I crazy or am I just irrational? Right? Yeah, so here's what's going on. That's spot on. Say your name. Rune. You're not the guy that spray painted Rune all over my neighborhood when you were a kid, were you? Yeah? Someone else had a hand in the back? Yeah. Oh, did I say he was wrong? No, I did. What? Wait a minute, this is economics. There should be one right answer. Here's what's going on, okay? So what we just dealt with is a situation where somebody has non-transitive preferences, okay? That's what Rune was pointing at, or what his answer was implicitly based on. So what's going on here is this. This statement, here's a mathematical representation of this statement, D, okay? It says if x, I'm doing A, B. I'm going to switch from A and B and C to X, Y, and Z just to annoy you. If X is strictly preferred to Y, and, the comma means and, Y is strictly preferred to Z, then, that's this double arrow, X must be strictly preferred to Z, okay? So, just to translate, this is the statement, sorry, I'm not doing this quite the way I wanted to. Let me erase the if. So this is the mathematical notation of the statement. And what is going on is that there's an implied if here, right? This thing means and. So if this is true and that is true, this thing essentially means then that thing will be true, okay? So X preferred to Y and Y preferred to Z implies X preferred to Z is one way of saying the statement, and the other is if X is preferred to Y and Y is preferred to Z, then X must be preferred to Z. You all recognize this, right? It's all coming back to you, that miserable semester you spent in intermediate microeconomics, right? I hope very much that we're now past the point in time in which anybody took the class from me. Is that correct? Did anybody take the class from me 100 A? So you learned this, and what does it mean? It's the same property you learned in 3rd, 4th, maybe 5th grade about the greater than operator, right? If X is greater than Y and Y is greater than Z, then it is certainly the case that X is greater than Z, which is another way of saying if you have a number line, right, all this is doing, literally what this statement accomplishes, mathematically, is it establishes an ordering. It says these things can be ordered, okay? So you have Z, you have Y, and you have X. This statement is simply saying that it is possible using the concept of greater than to order these things in a consistent way. If this thing's bigger than that and that thing's bigger than that, you know in terms of numbers that thing has to be bigger than that. That's what it means to have a number line. Okay? That's the definition of what is called an ordering, okay? Or in this case, a complete ordering. Completeness is this additional thing, which just simply means that out of any two possible things, you can compare them. That you would be able to state a preference one way or the other, or indifference. So if I give you, two fruits, that you know how to compare them, right? They don't come with an apple and a pear, and you say, I don't know. You might say, I don't care, which is indifference, but you would never say, I don't know. That's all completeness means. Completeness is a relatively unimportant part of the definition of rationality. The main part is this, transitivity, which is D is the definition of transitivity, B just says transitive. Those are the same answer, okay? Are you happier in the back now? Your blood pressure went down. You were right. B was right. What that transitivity property does, is it says, I can rank things. Right? This is an operator. It's an operator that allows you to compare one thing to another and decide which is above the other. And if transitivity property holds with this preference relation, that means I can order your preferences. Okay? I can create a ranking. No rationality, no ranking. No ranking, no utility maximization. You can't maximize a list of things if you can't put them in order. Which one of you would like to go first? I'm terribly sorry, sir. We don't have that concept in our culture. So A through C are all the same. I'm sorry, B through D are all the same. So you were okay. Turns out rational and correct. Okay. As to whether or not A is a good answer, we say the following, right? We come with this idea. And you all got the right answer, right? Which is the problem is that this person can't rank these fruits. Okay, so if I say, look, here's from this is like yucky to delicious. And you're sort of like I can say there's 3 levels: worst, medium, middle, and best. You don't know where to put the things, right? I could take any 2 of these and define a rank, right? A, P, B. If I take the first 2, A is greater than P, B is greater than B, and I can take any other 2 and get a different ordering, right? So if I take these 2, what I get is P's best, then B, then A, right? And if I take these 2, then I get what do I get? I get B and then A and then P. This person can't rank their preferences. That's the point. And I'm sorry, I'm sort of saying it over and over again because it's incredibly fundamental. It is one of the most fundamental assumptions that we make. We have to have a rank ordering because we want to do utility maximization. And in order to get a rank ordering, we have to assume rationality, which gives you a window into how economists do their business. Right? Our models are built on assumptions. Our assumptions are built on by man behind the curtain says our assumptions are largely based on what is mathematically necessary. Okay? No rationality, no ranking, no utility maximization, there's no utility function, you can't do math. We're done. We're cooked. So we make the rationality assumption because it makes the process work. Okay? Now, we're going to find ways to still salvage the concept of utility maximization, but I'm going to show you sort of behind the curtain. Everybody gets that as a Wizard of Oz reference. Behind the curtain, we're going to see all kinds of complications arise. All right. Now, coming back to that first answer, that their preferences would be sort of reasonable and sensible, here's this. You may have learned, if you took intermediate micro, you may have come across this. This is a kind of a justification in some sense. Suppose that somebody actually had these non-rational, non-transitive. So somebody said that's like a cell phone going off, and it's interfering with this signal. So I don't know if that's true or not, but if you all turn off your cell phones and then it happens, we'll know that it's not your cell phones. So check this out. If someone had those preferences, watch what we could do. And by the way, you should go and try this. And stand out in like Golden Gate Park and see if, which is actually a People's Park, and see if you can do this. Okay? First, you give the person an apple. This is your upfront investment, the cost of an apple. Then you offer to give them a banana in exchange for the apple. That's supposed to be an E. Plus, they give you an extra 5 cents, and they say no problem. If 5 cents is too much, make it a penny. Then you offer them a pear in exchange for the banana plus 5 cents. Right? Now they've got a pear. You offer them an apple in exchange for the pear plus 5 cents, and eventually you can extract their entire wealth. Right? Because you're constantly leveraging the fact that they don't know what they really want. This is what's called a money pump. And the money pump sort of conundrum, if you will, is presented as some sort of justification for the assumption of rationality. Look, this seems like a reasonable assumption to make, that people can order their preferences in a sane and rational and transitive way, because if not, we'd be able to do this money pump thing, and that would be ludicrous, and you're all laughing about it, and, oh, well, in that case, let them get away with their rationality assumption. Right? There's a sneaky problem with that, which is that this is a dumb idea, and it isn't actually proof of anything, and so we're going to actually go and look at the real world, and we're going to find that, in fact, the rationality assumption falls apart in a lot of cases. So that's just a window into economic methodology and how we do what we do. So I guess the point is that this speaks to answer A in the previous problem, right? Reasonable. This is unreasonable, so we say, well, rationality, that seems reasonable. Maybe, maybe not. Okay, so this is a non-clicker thing. I should probably figure out a way to make it a clicker thing. But I want you to work in groups, and don't worry about the clicker. I just want you to see if you can come up with an answer to this. I'm going to ask you to prove the following statement. I don't know if some of you may have taken classes in which you've done some proofs. I'm going to actually set up how the proof is supposed to work, and hopefully you'll be able to sort it out. So I want you to prove that if a person chooses A over B at one point in time, and then B over A at another point in time, holding everything else constant, ceteris paribus, then their preferences cannot be rational. So this speaks to what Woody was saying earlier. But I want you to now prove that mathematically. Okay? This statement here can be represented mathematically. This statement here, preferences being rational, can be stated mathematically. And what I'm asking you to show me is that those two statements cannot both be mathematically correct at the same time. So I'm going to give you a hint. This is going for those of you who haven't done a lot of proofs. There are a few different kinds of proofs. One of them, and usually the easiest, is what's called a proof by contradiction, which is where you say, okay, let's suppose that statement wasn't true. Let's suppose that one of those things is not true. Okay? And then let me show you that if the statement's not true, then we crash into a wall. We come up with a contradiction. So it works like this. Suppose that the statement above about A versus B is true. You write that down mathematically. And suppose, by way of contradiction, that transitivity does hold. Right? Because the statement is that transitivity doesn't hold if that statement about preferences holds. So suppose that the statement about A versus B does hold, is true, and suppose that transitivity does hold. Then I can show you, I being you, that some other thing must also be true mathematically, which is impossible. Right? So if I assume this, if I contradict the statement in the following way, then I come up with a contradiction, a mathematical statement that cannot possibly be true. Okay? So that's your task. Grab a neighbor, grab a friend, maybe they're the same person, and give it a shot. I'll give you a few minutes. Okay, I'm going to interrupt you for a second. We're not done yet, but I'm going to interrupt you. If you're sitting there thinking to yourself, you guys are like at the point where, oh my God, there's this one thing I don't know. If I can only ask one question, I can figure this out. Raise your hand, ask your question, and then we'll see if it helps. Anybody stuck? Does everybody have the answer? No, not everybody has it. So does anyone have like a clarifying question they'd like to ask? Yeah. Keep in mind, there's like 182 other people that could ask a question that could benefit you.
I'm going to ask you. Is the A versus B statement A over B and B over A, or is it one?
Both, yeah. Both of those things. The statement is that these two things are true, like the apple, pear, apple, basically. Right? Anybody else have a question they want to ask? Yeah. Just the notation that I've been using. Yeah, just that notation. Any other questions? One in the back? No, I want you to keep them the same letter because I want you to really emphasize the fact that they are the same exact consumption choices. Okay? Okay, one more before we go. Hang on. I want everybody to hear the answers in case it's helpful.
Is it impossible for A to be strictly preferred to A?
The question was, is it impossible for A to be strictly preferred to A? So the biggest hint I'm going to give you is, I'm not going to answer that question. Okay, keep going.